Yep. I also know the tracks. There's a little bit longer than you. About 48 years. Rabbi Traxler and I were in yeshiva at the same time. Mrs. Traxler used to sit beside me at the table on campus. Then the head shliach where we were convinced her to go to Minnesota. The special ladies session. Yeah. And she had a job, and her boss said, if you don't come back the day after Yom Kippur, the day after New Year's, you're fired. And she said to the shliach, what am I going to do? He said, just go learn Torah. Hashem will take care. So she went and she learned Torah and she came back and she was fired. She was so upset. That was her income. That meant she couldn't stay in Buffalo any longer. So she returned to Houston. She got married to Robert Traxler, a young graduate in pharmacy. Decided to leave pharmacy and became a shliach. So the shliach was right. It all worked out. Yeah. She had listened. If she had not listened to him, she said, no, I'm afraid to lose my job. And she never would have met Moshe Traxler. Okay, chapter 20, Tehillim. Hashem should have mercy on his people. Suffering that these people are going through is just unbelievable. Like from the Middle Ages. They're kept in a dungeon in heavy chains. This information is coming out now. Heavy chains that bite into their flesh. They're given one bottle of water, like a quart of water, once a month to wash themselves. A little bit of noodles or something once a day to eat. Terrible conditions, filth and darkness. Mamash in prison. Lam natseya mishmel David yan chalai b'yim tzari yisagev Hashem Elohei yankev yishlach esachem mikadosh. Please Hashem, send help from your holy chamber in the Beis Hamikdash of Mitzion Yisadeka, and support from the holy Beis Hamikdash Tzion. Yizker kol minchaisecha, you should recall all your offerings. A mincha is a flour offering, in the Beis Hamikdash, your matzah. Not thin matzahs like we eat on Pesach, but they were thick, like a fist, as big as a fist. And your burnt offerings, oilasacha, called an oila, completely burned on the mizbeach, on the altar, your dashna sela should be accepted favorably. Hashem should smile upon you, yiten lecha chavavecha, and grant your requests, your heartfelt requests, v'chol atzasacha yamale, and your good decisions that you took upon yourself to do, you should be able to fulfill your decisions. Yiten lecha chavavecha, he should give you your heart's desires, v'chol atzasacha yamale, and fulfill your good decisions. And Ranana Bishu Asecha, let us rejoice. Then we will rejoice Bishu Asecha in your salvation. B'Shem Eloheinu Nidgel, and we will raise the banner of Hashem on high. Yamale Adonai Kol Mishalei Secha. Ata Yodaiti Ki Yeshi Adonai. Now I know, says David HaMelech, that Hashem will save his anointed Redeemer. Yanehu Mishmei Kodesh will answer him from his highest holy heavens. B'Gvureis Yesha Yemine, and with might, salvation from his right hand. Eile Rechav Eile V'Susim, our enemies may come in chariots, or cavalry, or their modern day equivalents. V'anachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu nazkir, we come with the name of God on our lips. Hema karuv v'nafalu, they stumbled and fell, they have disappeared from the scene. V'anachnu kamnu v'niseidad, we are still here, spreading the teachings of Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah after 3,500 years. Adonai, Yeshua Melech Yaneinu V'Yimkarenu, Hashem should save us, our King, answering us on the day that we call. Chapter 9. So far in chapter 9, since there are 3 new people in class today. Why 3? There's only 4 people in the class. There we go. Esther's also here. But three of you weren't with us when we started chapter 9. We're partway through. We're going to go. We'll just repeat it very quickly. Go through it. Not too much time. Okay. Let's look at page 136. This is for, you'll have a bit of a review, but the review is the mistress of learning, and for Esther. You learned it, didn't you, Esther? You were with us for the chapter 9.
I wasn't here.
You weren't here. So 4 new. For 4 of you, this is new stuff. Okay. Rabbi Majesty says, why don't you go faster? I said, oh, Rabbi, what's the point? Just leave everybody behind. We spent the last 2 chapters, 7 and 8, especially discussing the difficulties we have with the Yetzer Hara and what happens when we become contaminated, when we listen to the Yetzer Hara and we have to do tshuva. Discussed all this in great detail. Continuing now, we know that the Yetzer Hara, the abode of the Yetzer Hara, is in the left side of a person's heart, which is full of blood, because the blood is the place where the animal soul feels most comfortable and welcome. The animal soul's message is, give me. It's full, completely ego. And the godly soul is in the right side of the heart, which is not full of blood, which is where the godly soul can enter. The godly soul enters the person's being from the highest level of intellect, is sensitive to spiritual concepts and ideas, and the thoughts of godliness enter the brain like a flash. Oh my gosh. Suddenly you're walking down the street and you have a moment of inspiration, a moment of vision. And then it gets processed through Chabad, through your capabilities of understanding and connecting. If you don't connect, it doesn't last, it disappears. It's like a person thinks of a poem, or a musician thinks of a tune. If he doesn't write it down, he'll never find it again. You have to connect with things. That's why creative people always have a notebook on them. I thought that cell phones would help. You could put your notes on your cell phone, but they get lost. Things get erased. In the notebook, they don't get erased. So the thoughts from the intellect, godly thoughts from intellect, make their way down the back of down the spine, down the back of your neck, back there. That's the place of das. That's why tefillin, men who wear tefillin, the knot has to be right there in the nape of the neck. Connect the higher level of thought with the lower level of your being, which is your emotions and your heart. And from there it goes into the heart, in the right side of the heart. So now we have the opponents on the right side of the heart, your nefesh elokis in white, and on the left side of the heart, you have your animal soul in red, and they're fighting it out. He's going to give the example of two kings fighting over control of a city, or in more recent terms of warfare, two enemy forces fighting over a hilltop, crucial hilltop in the course of a war. They're fighting for control of your heart. That's what we're reading. Okay, page 136. Let's follow along. Is anybody here capable of reading Hebrew? Yes, yes. No. Okay. So if you're capable of reading Hebrew, then try to follow along with the Hebrew. And if you're not, we're in the first paragraph, page 136 in the English. V'hinei mokom mishka, in the place of the nefesh habahamis, where it likes to hang out, which it comes from klippas noiga. What is klippa? Klippa is the shells, the place of impurity is called klippa. We don't eat shells. We don't eat peels. Some fruits you could eat the peels, but walnuts, you're not going to eat the shell. It's not digestible. So in klippa, we have areas that are completely impossible for us to deal with, which are klippas of evil. A person does an evil thing. Where's his energy coming from? So his energy is coming to him ultimately from God, but it gets filtered down till it comes into an area that's called klippa, which means the shells, very external, superficial, and they are the source of evil. They are the source of non-kosher animals like snakes and eels and rays, ferocious animals, lions and tigers and eagles and vultures and so on. They all get their life from impure levels of life called klippa. And then there's a fourth level, which is called noga, which means it could shine. And that's the source of life of everything that's permissible. Permissible means it's not tied down. It can go, it can be elevated. It can be used to serve in the service of God. Those are things that we're allowed to do. In other words, money is not evil. You can use it for tzedakah. You can use it to pay your bills. You can use it to live nicely on the way that you would like to live. Or money can be evil. You can use it totally selfishly and hoard it. It can be used in not a positive way. That's klippas noiga. Klippas noiga can go either way. It can be good, it can be bad. Depends on how you use it. It's neutral. It's not in and for itself good or bad. However, the three other levels of klippa, called the three impure levels of klippa, are totally bad. And they are the source of life of everything that is not permissible. And we learned that the word not permissible is from the root of a word that means imprisoned. Like a prison is called a place of asurim, where people are imprisoned. Asur also means not permissible. So the Torah is telling us, don't interact with these particular activities or substances because they're not permissible, meaning you cannot elevate them. You can't use them for a good purpose. You use them for a good purpose by staying away from them. You don't go there. You don't hang around with people who are alcoholics or on drugs, are living immoral lives. You're not going to elevate them. They're going to have a bad effect on you. That's like three impure levels of klippa. That's where they're coming from. Doesn't mean that since they're human beings and they're Jewish, they could somehow, with a lot of help, retrieve their lives. Okay, so we have four levels of klippa corresponding to the other side of, like the other side of the mirror, the other side of holiness, corresponding to the four letters of the name of God. 4 letters of the name of God are the source of 4 holy worlds. And the other side, the mirror side of that, the negativity, is the 4 levels of klippa, one of which can be redeemed. That's called klippas noga. Okay? So the animal soul, which comes from klippas noga, because the animal soul also does have good in it. In the Jewish person, we learned in chapter 1, the animal soul in a Jewish person is not just selfish. It has the capacity for kindness and goodness and mercy and modesty, a lot of natural characteristics that are the natural holiness of a Jewish person. Jewish people are naturally holy. Everything. What about non-Jews? I'm not going to answer that question. The Jewish person naturally, a bird knows how to sing. A Jewish person naturally knows to be kind. It's in his nature, his or her nature, to be modest, to be merciful, to love goodness, to want to be good. What about non-Jewish people? They can be educated. A non-Jewish person can be educated, can become also all of those things. And even more, a non-Jewish person can actually, by keeping the 7 mitzvahs for the nations of the world, can merit the holiness of the world to come and not become a Jew. Doesn't have to become a Jew. And if he goes further than that, he or she could become Jewish. But it's not in the same way natural. Like a horse naturally knows how to run. A bird naturally knows how to sing, how to navigate. A spider naturally knows how to make a web. Okay. So the animal soul in a Jewish person, which has this tremendous potential for doing mitzvahs and doing good, the animal soul has a potential, but it has to be motivated, it has to be guided. The godly soul is the motivational one. And the animal soul is in the cholol hasmali, the left side of the heart, second paragraph, 136. Shehu moli dam, which is naturally full of blood, which is the animals, the source of the passion that we have for selfish things, for things that satisfy our selfishness. As it said, and this is rooted in the Torah says, Ki adam hu anefesh. We're not allowed to eat the blood of an animal, because the blood is where the soul of the animal dwells, meaning the animal, a basic living soul. We don't want to mix the animal soul with our godly soul. So therefore, when we eat meat, the meat has to be slaughtered according to the Torah, and the blood has to be removed. And the Torah tells us how to do this. Therefore, page 3rd paragraph. Kol hataivus, since the animal soul is in the left side of the heart, so we learned in chapter 1, all this is in chapter 1, when I was in high school, so they taught us a good essay has to have a good opening sentence, and you say the whole thesis in the first paragraph, and then you spell it out in detail. You go into more detail. Lochein. So therefore, in the first paragraph, first chapter, we learned that there are 4 basic elements in every created thing: trees, animals, people, and these 4 basic things, and in the world, because a person is a small world. What are these 4 basic things? Fire, water, air, earth. Everything is made up of these 4 elements. The earth is 75% water, right? Air. Warmth. The world is kept warm by fires burning in the inside the earth. What keeps them burning? Do you know? What feeds the fire? You make a fire, you have to keep adding wood, right? Or fuel to it. Especially after a winter like this, we got to pay the bill. Got a bill yesterday from the gas from last month, $1,000. just to heat the house. How come we don't add fuel to the center of the earth to keep these fires going? We know the fire, it's very hot. People who do mining, yeah, they have to be constantly pouring water into the mine to cool it off. The deeper you go, the hotter it gets. First, on lower levels, it's not hot, it's cold. In the earth, it's cold. But you go deeper, it gets hot. It gets very hot. That's the whole idea, that the purgatory, the afterlife, for the punishment is hot. You burn in hell, right? Everybody knows this kind of expression. It's hot. So these are the four elements in everything. Earth. So earth, so fire, water, air, earth. Four elements. So these four elements, they act through the godly soul, they act through the animal soul. In the animal soul, they lead to selfish behavior. For instance, the fire in the animal soul causes a person to behave with anger. Ooh, a fiery temperament. Watch out for him. He has a short fuse. Or with pride. He thinks he's better than everything. He thinks he's the cat's meow, they like saying. Air can be used for speech, good speech, praising good things, or it can be used for bad speech, criticizing good things, learning Torah, or saying gossip. Water can be used. Water is a source of pleasure. Anybody wants to take a vacation, where do they want to go? They want to go to a place where there's a nice hotel with a beach. How come? Because water is a source of pleasure. Can you imagine watermelon with no water? Who wants stale bread? Water is a source of pleasure. Physical pleasure, immoral pleasures, or godly pleasure. What's a godly pleasure? Taking pleasure in doing someone a favor. You understand me? You understand my Spanish? It's a great gift from God to take pleasure in helping somebody else. People get depressed from time to time. Depression is from the element of earth. Earth is cold and heavy. A person feels cold and heavy, is depressed. What's the answer? Warm yourself up by doing someone else a favor. When you feel like the world is neglecting you, reach out and help someone else. When you help someone else, it'll help yourself. It will warm you up. So these are the four elements. So the animal soul, therefore, since the animal soul is in the left side of the heart, so therefore we see all these negative behaviors, like lusting for food, overeating, indulging in sensual pleasures, and so on, losing your temper. Elements of fire, or elements of water, are in the heart from the left side of the heart. Page 137 at the top. And from the heart pumps blood to your whole body. And so these feelings from the heart, negative feelings from the animal soul, express themselves in the way you move, in the way you use your hands. Welcome. Get out of here. The way you move. Either a person comes into the room, you're not interested. Oh, I'm so glad, You express yourself involuntarily. The feelings rush through your body at the speed of light because these are expressions of the soul. Positive expressions are from the godly soul and negative expressions from the animal soul. And from the heart, they spread through the entire body, page 137. And they go up to the brain. What do these feelings do in the brain? They meditate. How can I get what I want? Getting what I want may be revenge. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get her. I'm going to teach her a lesson. I'm going to pay them better. Or planning out how to overcome your negative feelings. If there's a war going on between good feelings and bad feelings, any general, any army person knows you can't just go into battle. You have to plan. And you have to move fast. Everybody knows also, anybody learned a little incy bit of history knows that Napoleon was such a successful general because he made his troops kill themselves to go fast. And they just suddenly appeared when the enemy was not ready for them. That was a great secret to his success. He appeared like days before he was expected, and they weren't ready, and made mincemeat of his enemies. But pride caused him to have a fall, because pride is from the wrong part of the body. Okay, so what happens in the brain is a person plans. You have to plan out your attack. What are you going to do next time the animal soul really gets the better of you and someone comes and tempts you to do something and you know it's not right? Somebody gets on your nerves. You have a roommate who never, ever, ever puts the cap back on the toothpaste. No matter how many times you told her. So you have to plan out. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to put the cap back on the toothpaste. And I'm going to teach my Yetzer Hara a lesson that I don't have to get angry. It's a big mitzvah not to get angry. In fact, when your roommate sees that you're so happy that they don't put the cap back on the toothpaste, they might even start putting the cap back on the toothpaste. Because if they're really not nice, so they won't want to give you the pleasure of doing it yourself. So just as the blood has its source in the heart, and from the heart, it circulates to all the organs, it also goes to the brain, and a person thinks about how he can achieve or she can achieve their desires. Now, bottom 137, but the place of the godly soul is in the brain. It's like the lightning rod on the top of a building, right? Here's the building. On the top of the building, you have a metal pole sticking up in the air. If you have a lightning storm, you don't want lightning to strike your Chabad house. You don't want lightning to strike your office building. So you stick up a pole in the air so the lightning will hit the pole and then go to the earth. Why does lightning hit the pole? Because the lightning has a tremendous negative charge and it seeks to stabilize itself with a positive charge. Where's the positive charge? In the earth. So it seeks to be, as we say in English, to be grounded. And the root to the ground is that pole. That's its connection. So the lightning rod in your soul is Chachma in the brain. And that's where the godly thought comes into your head. And from there, it extends to all the limbs and to the right, into the heart, and the right side of the heart. And once it gets into the heart, then you begin to feel. In the brain, you don't feel anything. Feeling is in the heart. On the right side of the heart, you feel love. And if you're thinking godly thoughts, which come in to you, and you like the idea that you're thinking godly thoughts, and you're planning how to lead a godly life, it'll come into the right side of your heart, and you will love, you'll have a feeling, a passion to do good things. And that's what it says, page 138. Leiv Chacham Liyamine, that the wisdom comes from Chachma. The heart of the wise person is on the right side, meaning godly thoughts come into the heart on the right side. And this causes a person to develop a fiery love for Hashem, which flares up in the heart of a wise person who understands and reflects these are the qualities of the brain: wisdom, understanding, connection, and you connect with these thoughts. In other words, you keep them in your mind. If you don't keep them in your mind, they're going to disappear. They're just going to be fantasies. I thought I was on the right track and I was going to lead a good life, and here I went and lost my temper all over again. Or here I went and I overate. Or here I went and I forgot to say a blessing. on the food, or I went and I broke Shabbos. I didn't mean to. I forgot. I just forgot it was Friday night. So you have to connect with the knowledge. There's a Passage to India, a famous novel about the moral, the theme of the book is you have to connect. You have to connect with good things, not just materialistic things, not just selfish things. So when a person, how do you do that? When you meditate, page 139 in the middle paragraph, when you meditate on things that arouse our love of God, and this is also for you who are the new students today, lesson number 1 in this class is that everything has a body and a soul. Lesson number 2 is on the way to yeshiva to learn about your soul. You have to look up and see what's going on in the heavens above. And that's the meaning of Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. This is what we give our life for, this thought, which was taught to the world by Abraham, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, and Rachel, and Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. This is what they taught. This is our heritage. This is our message to the world. And this is the Shema, expressed in the Shema. The letters of the Shema stand for 3 words, which mean look up, lift your eyes up on high, and see who creates all this. It's an anagram. Every letter of Shema stands for one of those words. Look up, lift your eyes up on high, and behold, who creates all this. This is what the Shema is all about. So that's 2 very important lessons to know. Number 1, everything has a body and a soul, including yourself. You have a godly soul, a neshama. Number 2, we constantly have to tie our minds up on high by contemplating the greatness of Hashem. Give yourself an exercise today. See how many things you can notice in the world around you that speak to you about the greatness of Hashem. Like, for instance, the acorns on the street. Who makes all these acorns? What's really going on? I'm going to finish this coffee and say a blessing. Lesson number 3, by means of connection, how do we connect? Is to say blessings on food, to remember to say a blessing after we eat, and before we eat anything, before we enjoy anything in the world, we say a blessing, and afterwards we have to remember also to say a blessing. It's amazing how difficult it is to do such a simple thing, but people are constantly forgetting, right? Hannah's not here. She always reminds me. Al Kalmasha Baras Yes Bahem Nefesh Kol Chai Baruch Chai Lamim. Amen. And lesson number 3.5, 4 is when you try to make a chance to review what we learned with a friend, a rusa, to go over it so that you really internalize what we're talking about. I apologize for going so very, very slow today, but it's new material for many of you. At the same time, we were going really much. When I say going slow, I mean we didn't go into so much into depth in explaining everything because we were rushing. We were rushing to catch up. We'll continue tomorrow. Chapter 9, Tuesday. Maybe we'll finish it on that. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Nina. Yes. Nina. And Valeria.
Yes.
What is Valeria in Hebrew? You have a Hebrew name? No. What did you say?
I'm the dresses to.
How long are you here?
Oh, she's
a week, 2 weeks? What?
She's in the process of converting.
Oh.
She's gonna have a academia?
Like, have you thought of any birthday yet?
No, I choose. I want my hero name Rika.
Ooh, good choice.
But when I finish my classes,
Yeah. Do you know when you're gonna be done?
maybe 1 year more.
Wow.
Yes.
Hey, Hatzlacha.
Thank you.
Your music.